Have you ever felt like the people closest to you just didn't get your ambitions? Like your biggest dreams were just a joke to them? Sarah grew up in a small town in Montana, and her family couldn't understand her drive to join the military. They saw it as a dead end, a waste of her potential. It stung, didn't it? That feeling of being underestimated by the very people who should be your biggest cheerleaders. But Sarah had a secret, a fire in her belly that wouldn't be extinguished. Now, after 5 long years, she's returning home to a family event in New York City, carrying something in her bag that will change everything. Get ready for a story of resilience, sweet vindication, and proving that your path is yours to define, no matter what anyone else says. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, her palms damp. 5 years. 5 years since she last saw her family back in Montana. Now, she was pulling up to a grand house in a wealthy suburb outside New York City, where her father's company was holding a big event. Tucked away in her duffel bag was the insignia of a lieutenant colonel, a secret she had kept from the people who always said her military aspirations were nothing. The familiar judgment hung heavy in the air, even before she stepped inside. Her small-town upbringing, her choices, they were always met with a subtle disapproval, especially compared to her brother, Michael, the golden boy. "Sarah, you made it," her mother, Susan, called from the living room, not bothering to greet her at the door. Her voice held that familiar hint of disappointment. Sarah set her bag down, the weight of the insignia a comforting presence against her leg. The house was just as she remembered it. The same outdated wallpaper, the same uncomfortable antique furniture her father, Robert, insisted on keeping. "So," Susan began, her eyes scanning Sarah's simple travel clothes. "Still playing soldier?" Sarah forced a smile. "It's going well, Mom. I've been busy. Busy doing what exactly?" Michael chimed in from the armchair, a smirk playing on his lips. "Playing war games." Sarah clenched her jaw. This was it. The same old dismissiveness. She remembered countless family dinners where her achievements were brushed aside, her dedication mocked. She flashed back to a memory from high school, winning a debate competition, only for her uncle to say, "That's nice, Sarah, but when are you going to do something real?" The sting of those words still lingered. Robert entered the room, a distracted look on his face. "Sarah, good to see you. The event is tomorrow evening. Be ready by 6. He turned back to Michael, launching into a conversation about business. Sarah felt invisible, a ghost in her own family. The familiar judgment hung heavy in the air, even before she stepped inside. Her small-town upbringing, her choices, they were always met with a subtle disapproval, especially compared to her brother, Michael, the golden boy. "Sarah, you made it," her mother, Susan, called from the living room, not bothering to greet her at the door. Her voice held that familiar hint of disappointment. Sarah set her bag down, the weight of the insignia a comforting presence against her leg. The house was just as she remembered it. The same outdated wallpaper, the same uncomfortable antique furniture her father, Robert, insisted on keeping. "So," Susan began, her eyes scanning Sarah's simple travel clothes. "Still playing soldier?" Sarah forced a smile. "It's going well, Mom. I've been busy. Busy doing what exactly?" Michael chimed in from the armchair, a smirk playing on his lips. "Playing war games." Sarah clenched her jaw. This was it. The same old dismissiveness. She remembered countless family dinners where her achievements were brushed aside, her dedication mocked. She flashed back to a memory from high school, winning a debate competition, only for her uncle to say, "That's nice, Sarah, but when are you going to do something real?" The sting of those words still lingered. Robert entered the room, a distracted look on his face. "Sarah, good to see you. The event is tomorrow evening. Be ready by 6. He turned back to Michael, launching into a conversation about business. Sarah felt invisible, a ghost in her own family. The next evening, the company event was in full swing. Sarah felt out of place in her simple dress amidst the sea of expensive suits and glittering gowns. Her family barely acknowledged her, too busy schmoozing with important guests. Robert was holding court, boasting about Michael's latest business ventures. Sound of a raised voice, slightly slurred. Suddenly, a loud, boisterous man, Mr. Henderson, a key client of Robert's, stumbled slightly, his eyes landing on Sarah. "And who is this lovely young lady?" he slurred, grabbing her arm a little too tightly. Before Sarah could answer, Michael stepped in, a condescending smile on his face. "Oh, that's just my sister, Sarah. She's in the military." He said it with a dismissive wave of his hand. Mr. Henderson chuckled. "The military, huh? Cute. You here to serve us drinks?" Sarah's face flushed, publicly dismissed, treated like she was nothing. Just like always, she saw a flicker of amusement in Michael's eyes, and her mother's tight-lipped disapproval. It was like they expected her to fail, to always be less than. Sound of a firm, clear voice cutting through the noise. "Actually, Mr. Henderson," a new voice said, "this is my colleague, Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Miller. She's a decorated officer and a vital part of our team." Sarah turned to see a woman in a sharp business suit standing beside her, a look of quiet authority on her face. It was Miss Davies, a senior executive from her father's company, someone Sarah had briefly met years ago. Mr. Henderson blinked, his drunken demeanor faltering slightly. "Colonel, well, I apologize." Miss Davies gave Sarah a small, encouraging smile. "No harm done. Sarah has been instrumental in some very important projects." Robert and Susan looked stunned. Michael's smirk vanished. They had no idea. Later, as Sarah stood alone for a moment, Miss Davies approached her. "Your father mentioned you were coming. I remembered you from your brief internship years ago. I was impressed by your dedication, even then. I followed your career. You've done remarkably well, Sarah." Sarah was taken aback. A stranger, someone outside her family's narrow world, truly saw her achievements. It was a small spark of validation in a sea of negativity. Talk about an unexpected ally. Just when Sarah was facing the same old insults, a surprising person stepped in. But this is just the beginning. How will her family react to this revelation? And what exactly is in that bag of hers? Have you ever received unexpected support when you needed it most? How did that make you feel? Remember that moment of surprise and relief. The atmosphere at the event had shifted. Robert and Susan were now looking at Sarah with a mixture of confusion and curiosity. Michael, however, was still skeptical, muttering something about fancy titles. Later, Robert approached Sarah, a hesitant tone in his voice. "Sarah, Lieutenant Colonel? We didn't know." "No, you didn't," Sarah replied, keeping her voice even. "You never asked. You were always too busy focusing on Michael." Susan interjected, her voice sharp. "Don't be like that, Sarah. We thought you were making a mistake with this military thing. A mistake that led to me leading teams, making critical decisions, and serving my country." Sarah challenged, a hint of steel in her voice. "While Michael here, what exactly have you been doing lately, Michael?" "Another failed startup funded by Dad." Michael's face flushed with anger. "That's not fair, isn't it?" Sarah countered. "For years, I've listened to how I wasn't good enough, how my choices were wrong. You built me up to be the villain in my own story." She remembered a particularly painful Christmas when her parents praised Michael's mediocre college grades while barely acknowledging her acceptance into a prestigious military academy. The memory still stung. Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out the colonel insignia. She held it out, the eagle gleaming under the chandelier light. "This," she said, her voice clear and strong, "is what playing soldier looks like. This is the result of years of hard work, dedication, and sacrifice. Something I did on my own, without any help from any of you." The room went silent. Robert stared at the insignia, his face slowly turning pale. Susan looked shocked, and even Michael seemed taken aback. Suddenly, Mr. Henderson, now a bit more sober, approached them. "Colonel Miller," he said with genuine respect, "it's an honor to meet you. My son is serving overseas. Thank you for your service." Sarah nodded, a small, genuine smile gracing her lips. For the first time that evening, she felt a sense of pride that wasn't tied to her family's approval. The truth is out. Sarah has revealed her incredible achievement, and the reactions are priceless. But what will happen next? Will her family finally understand and respect her? Or will old habits die hard? Have you ever had a moment where you finally showed people who you truly are? What was that moment like? Embrace that feeling of taking control of your narrative. Later in the evening, as the event wound down, Robert approached Sarah again, this time with a different demeanor. "Sarah," he began, his voice softer. We are proud of you." Susan nodded in agreement, her eyes filled with a newfound respect. "We were wrong, honey. We didn't understand." Michael even offered a grudging, "Yeah, good job, Sarah." Sarah looked at them, a wave of conflicting emotions washing over her. This was the validation she had craved for so long, but something had shifted within her. Their approval no longer held the same power. She thought about all the late nights studying, the grueling training exercises, the moments of doubt she had overcome on her own. Her victory wasn't about proving them wrong, it was about proving herself right. Robert raised his glass. "To Colonel Sarah Miller," he said, his voice filled with genuine pride, "who proved that following your own path can lead to extraordinary places. We may have been slow to see it, but we couldn't be prouder now." Sarah raised her glass along with them, a sense of peace settling over her. The validation felt good, yes, but the real victory was the journey she had taken, the person she had become. So what about you? Have you ever had your achievements dismissed by people who should have supported you? How did you handle it? Remember, your path is valid, even when others fail to see its value. The most important validation comes from proving yourself right on your own terms.